Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if we get Brian in here. Brian, if you happen to be watching, you may need to just invite your way in because for whatever reason, the last time we did this, I invited you and you did not see my invitation. All right, here we go.
All right.
And there you are.
I can only see the top of your head. I mean, the bottom of your head. I can't see the top of your head.
Bottom, the top, the side.
Yeah, you can. I can only see you. There you go. What's up, buddy?
Wow.
I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Oh, tech. Shawn Francis. Shawn Francis. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. We need better technology, Shawn. Cannot. Anything. Nope. I can read your lips.
The AirPods and try the actual.
There you go.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay. So I can't be functional and cool today. So that's okay.
Can't put two
That's all right.
earbuds in one ear either.
Why not? I don't know.
Nope,
Hey, there's my
doesn't
good
work.
friend Michael Weintraub. Michael, good to see you. Anyway, gosh, as I was saying, I'm sure that you have heard, just as I have, when you're onto something worthwhile, the universe or the adversary, whatever, tends to really, challenges will really pop up as soon as you attempt to do something worthwhile. And today has been a busy day, work-wise, and busy also because we are into today's Wednesday, so day 3 of school for the kids, and day 3 of school for Elijah, in particularly in high school. We had distance learning over the summer. It was a little more relaxed and stuff like that. So it's been really interesting as to how the pandemic has been affecting us as a family, especially from a special needs standpoint. Those are some of the things that we'll talk about today. And I'm hoping that some of the people that are chiming in will add their 2 cents with regard to what their experiences are like, because those are things that everybody can relate to. The biggest thing now, I don't know if you might hear if he doesn't come walking in, there'll be dead silence, and Elijah in the middle of everything, you'll just hear, "Oh no!" And he's just like, and it's every 5 minutes. I had a client that we sat with, a special needs family. We were able to help, and that's part of what I love about what we do is we went to sign our paperwork, and Elijah went with me. And so I love being able to take him with me to work whenever I can. And we're signing the paperwork, and she had the Minion Rush game on her device. So she let him play it to keep him occupied. He got into it, and he's played it since, no big deal. But now he plays it where he's like, he's sitting there, and he's like, you try to talk to him, and he's like, And if he loses, he's no, and he gets upset. Then he starts all over again. So, and then, as you know, as a parent to a child with special needs, you try and look for the value in every challenge that comes your way, because you can either let it drive you crazy, or do that. And so, let's just say there's a lot of lessons that are being taught, but that we're being taught, but we seem to have been just really so blessed, because he has a fantastic teacher. Every time we have a
But
teacher.
let me stop for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he in school now physically, or is he still doing distance learning?
Distance.
Yeah, so it's still distance in the
yeah.
semester.
And
Gotcha.
right, and they did distance learning over the summer, but it was very relaxed with summer school. But each year he's had a teacher that answers our prayers, and first teacher that he had, she was great. So we're like, oh my gosh, what's it going to be like with the next teacher? Next teacher was great. Each one has been. And we've been really blessed in that regard. And I was just thinking, I posted a picture, came home with, didn't come home, it was sent to us. A Ziploc bag, literally. If you stand up next to it, I posted it earlier on my page. It's up to about your waist. First of all, the Ziploc bags were made that big. And I had a couple of parents that said, I'm just curious as to what's in the bag. And some of them said, well, at least he got a bag. And all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, the things that you take for granted. The district gets some credit for that, but then his teacher gets a ton more credit, because the content of the bag, she put that together herself, which was fantastic. So Joe is asking, teach special needs virtually rather than in person. Is it more challenging? Well, the answer to that, Joe, is it depends on your child. And
that's my daughter, everybody, by the way. That's my daughter, Jordan.
I keep forgetting that she goes by Joe.
Joe Quinones. Right? Yeah. That's my daughter, Jordan.
And then her last name as well is like that. That last name is what?
Quinones, Puerto Rican.
About 2 months old, something like that.
Not even. No, almost 2 months.
Okay.
Almost.
He's
2
born
months
in Puerto Rico. I was technically born in San Juan, so fantastic.
But
great question, Jordan, and thank you. So the answer varies from person to person based on the child, and even in our case, with Elijah, the answer today is not the same as it was on Monday. So each day it gets better and better. So 2 months tomorrow. Happy 2-month anniversary.
2-month anniversary.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the question that she's asking, and the sense. So Blake has he starts. We're in LAUSD as well. He's starting 8th grade, and all the classes are online. He doesn't have any special needs issues. So they're going to give him, they call it synchronous learning and asynchronous learning, right? Periods where there's a portion of it where their teacher's teaching, and then they give an assignment, and that's the work that they do separate, and they have to turn them in and upload everything. Is it the same situation, or how's he being taught?
Well, he's got materials that he follows, and so it's a group setting. They're utilizing Google Classroom, and it's actually the Burbank Unified School District.
Oh, it's in Burbank. So, okay, got it.
But they're utilizing, they're utilizing Google Classroom, and the teacher, like what he's learning in particular, life skills. But there's some math and stuff like that. But even that is related to life skills in terms of when you go to the store, you pay for an item. How much change are you supposed to get back? Things along that line. And there's even today was the first day of virtual PE. So,
how to do that
in our. Well, I didn't see, because here's the other thing. In every parenting situation, special needs or not, you have your good cop and your bad cop. And
right.
I am undeniably and have always been the bad cop. So, and it has its benefits, because it's like, do you want me to tell Daddy? No. Well, then do it for me. Okay. So what happens is, if I have to even ask him to do something, he's just it. And I'll take the blame for some of it too, because Laura is the epitome of patience, especially with him. There's people that have seen me in public out with him. Things like, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you're just so patient." I'm like, You should see my wife. So what happens is he's kind of pre-programmed for me to kind of butt heads with him. So what happens is when the day begins, he'll just say, "Daddy, can I stay in privacy? Can you just like like go downstairs to the desk?"
All
And
right.
pre-COVID, what he would say is, "Go to the office in Glendale." And that's if he wasn't asking to go with me. Like, just, can you get out of here?
Just go away.
Yeah, just go. And then
He's that age, man. He's that
oh
age.
yeah. And so I'm
Right.
trying to strike a balance between doing that, because I could just as easily, especially now with COVID, we've been so busy with work and clients, easy to go, okay, I'm here if you need me, boom, and just
Yeah.
jump right in. But I don't want to do that and then be absent, because it's very easy to do that and just kind of get going, and then everything will fall on her shoulders, because she's just a natural warrior. She does a fantastic job and is an amazing wife, mom, and partner. So, I will peek my head in and check. But what they did today, I think, was a little limiting in some of the movements and stuff that they did. But again, going back to how valuable the teachers are, they were having technical issues, something that you and I, more I than you, know a little. What she did was, since the PE teacher, they were having difficulty, what she did was she actually conducted the PE class herself. And so she's just, on the fly. So a lot of the supplies and everything that was in that Ziploc bag, she put that together. So some limited movement and stuff, but, just getting them some exercise and having them moving around and stuff like that. Then there's some reading and things like that they're doing as well. And the day typically ends around noon. So they've taken that into consideration too, as opposed to having them go all the way through till like 2 or 3:30.
I'm getting a message that we're frozen, that both of us are gone. According to thing, I mean, you and I are in communication here. So,
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
I just got a text that we're frozen.
Anybody else that's watching, Anthony Emmanuel, good to see you. If
Oh,
can you let us know if we're frozen or not?
maybe it's just frozen on her end.
Yeah, it might be.
That's
So
possible. So I didn't
yeah,
mean to
that's
interrupt you, but
possible.
I figured, if it wasn't,
No.
if we weren't talking technologies, we're talking about technological issues. By the way, I'm hoping that at some point here, one of these Wednesdays that we do this, that
Hmm.
we get a chance to spend a little time with Laura. I think that would be awesome. Because of Claudia and Jordan were both like, I can't believe that you're a bad cop, because you're so sweet that it's amazing to think. Okay, Candida, thank you. Thanks for letting us know.
Thank
Amazing to
you.
think that you would be bad cop. I can't even imagine what that's like. If you're
No, it
bad cop,
happens.
then Laura must be
She's
sweet,
Saint Cop.
and
Yeah.
she's yeah. Well, good.
But I'll
I mean,
tell you,
I think that would be a good thing for us
well,
to do.
we'll see what she says. I was talking to somebody the other day, about partnerships partnerships and things like that. A gentleman that was looking at coming to work with us in our firm, and I was telling him that I know that even though his wife might not be out in front in terms of what he does, because he does coaching and that with kids, that I know that he can't do that without her. And my situation is no different. And it's not just a matter of strengths and weaknesses, but the other thing is that Laura's not a out in front person, so I can ask her and we shall see what she says.
Well, I mean,
But
somebody.
um,
I think all parents are dealing with kind of this new situation of distance learning and monitoring, and how much autonomy do you give your children. Our kids are a year only, really only a year apart.
mhm.
How hands on, how much do you spend time? I think parents of all kids are dealing with this, and the idea that kids are starting at home. They're not going onto campus, and so that creates a whole new norm to work from home. Kids close by, and so that's one thing. But for families who are dealing with special needs issues, and really making sure that certain issues are being taken care of, focus as kids have, you know, kid, kids have certain issues, and just paying attention in class. And they're usually helpers that are in special needs classes that to kind of help and guide the flow. And so this has got to be a whole new experience
Oh,
for the
it
distance
is.
learning component to it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, definitely,
and
definitely.
I would think kids on the autism spectrum, like Elijah, I would think that certain stimulus impacts these kids differently as well. Yeah, is
Oh,
that true?
definitely. Most definitely. Because the thing for him is that he gets bored like that. So for him to sit, like, for instance, he had summer school. And his teacher was just, she was so sweet, and her effort and everything. But maybe it was because it was too close to the school year ending, because the school year began, regularly, in person and everything right up until January. And then when we did everything with distance learning, it was interesting because what we did is we started thinking, you know, they're having certain events that they're calling off and that kind of thing, but then again they're going to have the kids go to school. I think we need to keep them at home just because we don't know what the situation is with this virus. So we did that. We began distance learning to end the school year. That was a little rocky. By the time we got to summer school, what was happening is I think it might have been too close to, off the heels of the school year. So what he would do is he'd be in the session, and it ended when he was ready, because
Right.
he was just like, yeah, all right,
I'm
I'm out.
done.
Click, click.
Right.
That's the end of it. And you hear the video game going on. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so that's where the balancing act comes in too, because you want to get them set. Because the older kids, we're not even really checking in on when they start. They let you know if they have a question. They begin, they come down and eat, go back up, whatever have you.
Yeah.
In his case, because it's high school and then because of autism and everything, you got to get him started, get him excited and everything. And the one thing I will say for him now, as opposed to the summer school program, maybe because I think of the break that he had, because he was at the point where he was asking to physically go to school. He was ready to go,
Yeah.
and so what's happening is we're a little closer to kind of letting him begin, make sure he begins his session and everything, and then able to step back and just kind of peek our head in there and check. And I think as we go on with the school year, we'll have to check in a little less and he'll be able to do more on his own. But it takes a village and then some. And so, we've been really, really lucky.
I and so I got a from Jordan, and Jordan's has been in a bunch of different schools from the time she was in kindergarten all the way through college. And she was saying in sixth grade she learning was a challenge, and it was easier because it was less distracting. But now in college, it's sometimes hard to learn how to balance work and school. And I think that again, that goes with anybody. I think we're all having that, some of that difficulty. How do you
Mm-hmm.
have that life balance, especially when your school room or your office is like right next door to your bedroom and on the other side of the kitchen, and there's not a
Yeah.
lot of separation, right? So that's difficult as it is, but
Mm-hmm.
being able to balance, and for kids who are having have learning disabilities and are on the spectrum, there's a whole new skill set that has to be learned. I think a lot of people take it for granted.
Yeah.
We know how to balance certain things, or we prioritize, or and then again maybe we don't. Maybe
Yeah.
if you look in our business, and we have people who we talk to people all the time, and some people start at the same spot, and some people move faster than others, and there's that balance. I think that balance is a difficult thing for everybody, but
Yeah, it can be. It really can be. And I think that, we're on this topic today, but I think that's something that going forward, we really like to have, viewers participate and talk to us with, about that, because I'm interested as to what other people's experience has, have been. In some cases, even if you don't have a child with special needs, but then if you do, if you take autism alone, which is one aspect of special needs, that alone has a huge spectrum, which is why it's called autism spectrum disorder. So I'm curious as to what some of the other challenges are that other parents are experiencing with their kids, what some of the solutions are as well, because, we can learn from each other. And um, even outside of the special needs community, if you just think about the planet and your role as a citizen on Earth, if you have a tiny bit of any information that you've gotten from a challenge and a success, we have an obligation to share that with other people. Good afternoon, Mr. Abel Vasquez. Thank you for joining us. Great friend and business partner, and a great dad as well. Those are things that bring tremendous value. And then sometimes if someone's watching and they don't have children with special needs and their children are neurotypical, there's something that we can learn from even the questions that they might have. When we end up passing any bit of knowledge on to other people, we're speaking to them, or hopefully with them, but we're also speaking to ourselves when we're listening too, because those are opportunities to learn every time you share something that you go through with somebody. So most definitely.
Yeah, I think that how we'll do this, maybe in a few. This is the third one we've done over the last month, and we're going to get better at this. Technology
Mm-hmm.
looks good. You look good today. I can hear you good. I can hear you well. But I think what we'll do is maybe we'll pick a topic for next week, and then maybe we'll seed it in social media of things that we'll talk about next week, and maybe people can
Yeah,
talk about
that'll
maybe
be a
if
good
we
idea.
have a guest speaker on for that particular week, because we want to have some people on that that address uh, everything that we do, right? Life, business, money, finances, protection, retirement, all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, debt, all of those things that families deal with on a regular basis. But then as it relates to special needs, special needs families as well, there's often a completely different and additional aspect of those areas. So we're going to bring some people on board here that are going to,
Definitely.
specialize in one of those areas. So maybe what we'll do is we'll figure out what the topic is for next week. We'll say, hey, next week when you join us, we're going to talk XYZ, and give some questions, and we'll hopefully address it. I love that. It seems like you guys had a topic today. We actually knew we were going to be talking, just sort of about things that are going on in the pandemic. And because this week happens, thanks, Joe, because this happens to be school week. Honestly, Shawn, just kind of, we just kind of rolled with it. I think people, for people
Mm-hmm.
know, Shawn and I have known each other now for 5 years, and but I think we compete for talk space. Who talks more? I think,
We do.
but
We
we
do.
uh, but we have this relationship that has been growing for 5 years on the common point that we help families with special needs, and that we are dads who have dealt with kids who have learning disorders, learning disabilities, special needs issues. And so this is a subject that's very near and dear to our heart, and the stuff that impacts us, we know it impacts so many other people. We just wanted to create a regular dialogue, um, weekly discussion of the things that we do and how we can be of service and how we can contribute and give back. So hopefully it'll be of value to people. We're going to try to make it a valuable discussion and something that will make you go, and hopefully there'll be
Mm-hmm.
some ideas that you can implement and recommend to other folks to, participate with us in this conversation. So anyways, I just wanted
Definitely.
to kind of point
Definitely.
that out,
Yeah, and then people that are watching, feel free to reach out to us or comment as the replay takes place to let us know about some of the subjects that you would like to see discussed going forward. Because we're going to be doing this every Wednesday, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we want to end up having conversations with people, not just talking to you or at you, so to
at you,
speak.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, most definitely. So if there's any topic that comes up, by all means, comment and let us know from now throughout the week so that we can do that and add that going forth.
And I think just to let people know, we're going to talk about things like debt. What solutions are there for debt and getting out of debt, and anybody who's got tax issues or student loans or credit cards. Medical debt these days is starting to skyrocket now, especially as people are freaking out about COVID and going and taking the test multiple times and what the impact is on that. But
Yeah.
also savings, protected savings, investments, and things that are going to have your money be safe, have your money work for you,
Yeah.
insurance and trusts and wills and those kinds of things, special needs trusts and general trusts, and how that plays a role in your life as well, and retirement planning, and college planning, and all of those kinds of things are the things that we'll touch on. And we'll have, like I said, we'll have speakers to join us on these events too. And no, we're not doing PowerPoint presentations. I said to Shawn, we're not doing presentations. We're just talking about subjects that
No.
are important to everybody, and that that folks want to know about and want to hear about. And if you want to know any more further detailed information, you can reach out to us individually or on our Facebook playback, and we can get some specific answers. But hopefully we can provide an opportunity for you to get access to some great information.
Definitely. And if you know anybody that serves the special needs community in any shape or form capacity, what we do is essentially help people with our firm. We help people build a bridge between the life they have and the one that they want. And that's done through financial service, education, and opportunity. However, what Brian and I do, especially because he mentioned it's dear to our hearts, is focus on bringing those things specifically to the special needs community. So we're able to focus a portion of what we do for our community while we're serving everyone generally speaking. And so if you know someone that serves the special needs community in any capacity, shape, or form, by all means, let them know. If I think about the best experiences that I've had with my mechanic, plumber, electrician, any of those people are people that were referred to me by somebody else that I trust. So there's a lot to be said for that if we can go ahead and do that. And each of us are the type of person that want to be the person in the room that can comfortably and honestly raise their hand when someone says, "Does anybody know someone that does so and so?" Whatever the case is, just a matter of adding value to people's life wherever you go, because we're only here for a minute. We might as well make it count.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I was going to say is even for those of us who have been embedded in this experience, and I know that for us, when we first had the diagnosis for Jordan, we went online. It was really before the internet was around, but it was like impossible to get access to the information that we have now. But we were warriors, and I give it up to Jordan's mom. She was really a warrior at figuring out how to get access to this information and what does this mean and what are the resources. And Shawn, you have been such a warrior, and you have really taken, and I know both you and Laura, but really from what I've seen, in the front, you've taken on a lot. This area well. But the reason I bring it up is, as well versed as we are in this, we still discover stuff that's even in our own backyard where we're like, what? How long has this been around? So talk a little bit just for a second about the school that since it's school week and we're talking about back to school. Do you want to chat a little bit about that breakfast that we went to? Because that was in our own backyard here in the San Fernando Valley.
Definitely.
And we kind of looked at each other like, what? Did you even know this thing's been around? And it blew my mind. Let's share that a little bit. Talk about that a little bit.
Definitely. As a matter of fact, because I think the gentleman that we met who's behind that would love to come on and let everyone know about that. And the name escapes me, but can you give everyone the name of the school? Do you recall?
It was I'll pull it up while you chat about it. I'll find it.
Okay. All right. But this is one of our colleagues.
School at the LAUSD. So I'm sorry, you go.
Yes, it's part of LAUSD, but it's a school, and when you look at it, it looks like a typical school campus. However, what they do is they help people with special needs transition to mainstream, to jobs. And so the way that they prepare them for that is on the campus. They have a cafe where some of them work as baristas. They have a wardrobe department. They have television and film. They have auto mechanic, auto shop,
printing services.
Great printing services too.
Shipping services. And I found it. I mean, the name of it, I was close. It is Leichman. It's the Diane Leichman Career Preparatory and Transition Center. I mean, it was amazing to us because it's not just classes and learning how to do it. Like, these folks were hands-on. Businesses could submit, like, for instance, they needed to get a bunch of flyers printed, submit the flyer electronically, and these kids were putting the package together, billing, and then delivering, shipping, and putting and actually printing the flyers themselves. And there was a media class, right? It was a media class where they were performing and editing and learning how to shoot and direct and act and edit. So that's where and then the wardrobe piece came in to fulfill the wardrobe side of that. And so kids were learning how to make clothing. Yeah, it was absolutely astounding to me. And again, to the point, I kept interrupting told you to talk about it, and I'm chatting about it. Well, only because I was just so like I couldn't believe it had been
No,
in our
go ahead.
and Shawn, it was around. It's been
Right,
around
we had no
for
idea.
since the '60s, right? Isn't it been around
Since
since
the
the?
60s. Yeah, since the
Yeah,
60s. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
And all those
and it
things we
was
found out there at a breakfast. And the breakfast, some of the kids in the culinary program were the ones that provided the breakfast as well.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they had somebody shooting for the social media class that they were doing. So they were filming on the iPad and asking questions and interviewing. That was all going to be
Mm-hmm.
part of the social media.
Yeah.
So it again in a world where sometimes hope is fleeting.
Yeah.
uh it's nice to see that that there are organizations and groups out there that are hands-on and taking when they finish their regular studies and transition to the next phase, that there's some place that they can go and learn these kinds of skills. And for me, I remember that it was so remarkable for me that school exists. And again, I don't even know what's happened with them now the COVID is something we should probably check in and find out what they're doing in light of the pandemic,
Well, I
because
had a
I'm sure that.
conversation with the director, and they've been making adjustments as well, but there's no way that they can replicate virtually what they do in actuality in terms of preparing these kids to go out there and have jobs. And what was interesting too when we were there is there were local grocery stores and things like that, Smart and Final, Office Depot, a couple of other retailers that had attended those events and hired those kids right out of that school. So when you have a child with special needs, it's one thing. There's several things that concern you. One, which is where we come in terms of like, how do you prepare your child, special needs or not, quite frankly, to live in a world where you exist only in memory? Because that day is inevitable, whether we like it or not, right? That's one thing. And then the other thing is, you know, how does it take place with regard to their own independence? Who's going to take a chance and have them do that? That's really questionable. I'm looking at a comment from Robert Moriat, an old friend and former classmate in the Virgin Islands. This is a good way to showcase other industries as a whole. Good information. Thank you very much, Robert. And I'm trying to figure out what I can do to get our particular services down in the VI as well. So thank you very much for your contribution and for tuning in. But he's absolutely right, because again, if we didn't know that the school exists, then how many people do you think are out there that have businesses that don't know? Because we didn't, and we have businesses.
Right, for sure. And I think
Yeah.
that was the point of my comment, that even though like you could be a warrior and totally involved and active and everything and still be amazed that something is in your own neighborhood. And so really it's just a matter of creating awareness, right? Which at the end of the day is what we're trying to do, some awareness, some education. And so if people are aware, and again, as they're dealing with family members who have special needs, and by the way, even if they don't have special needs today, at some point in their life, they may encounter where they're going to need some special support and some special help. So it's good
Mm-hmm.
to know what's in your neighborhood, what's around, what businesses are doing,
Right.
what providing what kinds of services. And again, in our own backyard since the '60s, and we didn't really know anything about it. I'm like, man, there's a whole world of opportunity out there. So hopefully we'll
One
be able to bring those kinds of
one
things
one
forward.
thing you touched on just now when you talked about special needs and not being a member of that community and the chance that you might become one, it made me think of, when we host our events together, bringing financial awareness, service, and opportunity to the special needs community. We begin by talking about, okay, how do you identify special needs? So you think of a developmental delay or something of that sort being something that someone is born with, but you have a chance of becoming a member of the special needs community or someone you love by way of, like our friend Adam Hancock, by way of a catastrophic injury or an illness. You never know. So, and the truth of the matter is, if you live long enough, you or someone is going to be closely associated with that distinction at some point in time. And
Yeah.
so you need to be prepared for that and understand what you can do as opposed to what limitations might be and things of that sort as well too.
Yeah, and whether it's by an accident or by illness, or
Mm-hmm.
some sort of disease where all of a sudden you go from being able-bodied to needing help, needing support, needing even just do some of the basic key elements like feeding and and going to the bathroom and dressing yourself. Those key elements for living. you need help doing some of those, you basically fall under the special needs support structure. So
Yeah.
it's good for us to share these kinds of things. I'll put in the comments section here the address for the website for the Leichman School. I
Fantastic.
think it's amazing, and one of the things that we were trying to get out of that was like, again, hopefully they'll go back, or they'll function in some manner to support. But again, any printing that needed to get done, or shipping needs or something to be able to utilize this. That first of all, just from a regular business perspective, their pricing was amazing,
That's true
because
too.
it's a learning, right? But for a business who's looking to both support the program and find a way to cut some of your own costs, it was a phenomenal experience to see. And I know that they were adding additional areas of focus, which again, for me, just it made me so proud. The cafe, as you mentioned at the very beginning, like that was like, it wasn't just like, oh, ring up some some fake food on a fake cash register. It was like they were cooking, they were making muffins and breakfast items and coffee, and they were working it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It was
advertising
great.
it, promoting it, and delivering it. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that was amazing. It was an amazing
But
experience.
that's an example. That's an example of what we do. Yes, what we do as a firm, but it's what we do as people. So we like to exchange energy with people like that, who are about that I'm standing in, whether it's a country, a centimeter, or an inch, a yard, a mile, or whatever. How do I make that better when I leave it? And it's by spreading good. That's all it is.
Whoop,
See, there
you
you
fell.
talk about getting excited
Spreading
there.
good.
Yeah, there you go. I'm used to the ear bud, so
That's hilarious.
yeah.
I'm putting the address on here. It's long, but I'm gonna make sure that, just so people can look it up, because it was such and it was, I will say this, and not to make this political, but it was so full of love that morning for the attendees. First of all, people like us who were just guests,
Mm-hmm.
Claudia, I love it.
Yeah.
People like us who were, oh no, did I do that right? Yeah, no, I think I did. I think I put the address. May not have put the address in correctly.
Oh, it's
I'll
there.
put
It's
the
there.
address in.
It's
Yeah,
there.
no.
It's there. It's
All right.
there.
Click on it and see if it actually. I'm not sure if it's actually, if I spelled it right. I may have spelled it wrong. Anyways, people like us who were attending, people who had from the Smart and Finals that had hired some of these kids, some of the local
Mm-hmm.
representatives from the school board, and other elected officials who were responsible for making sure that this community continues to grow. The students themselves, thank you, Robert. The students themselves, the teachers. It was a room of love. I honestly, because it was just everybody was there to make a difference, and you could feel it. And my God, that's what we need these days, isn't it? Just empathy and support and love. And I was blown away that this exists. And God, I hope we have them all over the country, because it was really it
Yeah.
was just a very moving morning for us. And we spent a couple hours there and kind
And
of didn't
that's
want to
that
leave, honestly.
to be said for that too. You were talking about me being a warrior. For instance, there's things I do, or on paper at the very least, that are impressive, so to speak. I sit on the Autism Parents Advisory Board of Children's Hospital of LA. If it wasn't for our business, that wouldn't take place. That's kind of how that took place, and it sounds great. You've done that. I've helped put a parents group together for our local school district and stuff like that, an autism support group. And so like to think you are really, quite frankly, this isn't even about special needs, about anything. You have to adopt the idea that if we don't continue to always learn, always be open and ready to receive, that you're going to miss out. And there's a certain amount of dying that takes place, because there's just so much to know. So many great, there really, really, truly is. And it's interesting. Just heard recently on a podcast, which I'm sure you're familiar, that you've heard people say that it's not about the journey, it's not about the destination, but it's the journey. But there's literally been proven that there's a greater dopamine hit from doing something of purpose than even accomplishing something of purpose. So the whole idea of moving in progression in some way, shape, or form is really key to longevity, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all get a jolt, and we make a difference. And I would just, I look at this program, and there are many opportunities for people to donate money and to donate time. Often cases we donate money and we don't really know exactly where that money goes, how it's utilized, except for some general purpose. In this particular case with the Leichman School, it was no doubt, like you could see it, like you walk in and the whole place is all about this, and and this support and transitioning these kids to to jobs, and ultimately as parents, that's our goal, is to make sure our kids have a good life.
Yeah.
To your point, whether we're here or not, to have a good life and be, and of the, as we've talked many times, of the 6 basic significant and of making a contribution, and those kinds of things are so critical for so many folks, and the fact that these programs exist for our kids is such a again, it's such a great thing. I know.
Yeah.
Belabor the point, but
definitely no, it's more than
back
fine.
to school week, so we're talking about schools.
Yes. So, I think that kind of wraps us up for today. I believe. Again, we want to thank everyone for for attending. We're going to be doing this every week. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and feel free to chime in with the replay in the comment section. Share it with people you know. Let us know about anything that you think might make a great. What's Robert saying?
Don't call them kids.
Baby goat. You're absolutely right. Because the truth of the matter is, too, even when they're 21, they're still your children.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
they are.
Most definitely. And
thank you, Robert.
It for Robert to be on. Let me tell you something. Robert and I were in 3rd and 4th grade together. Okay, and then again in 9th grade for our first year of high school in the Virgin Islands. So,
wow,
you talk about going long distance. Yeah. And he has a local show down there as well. So, much love, brother. Much love. So
awesome.
let's go ahead and, again, anybody that wants to chime in and has ideas as to what our subject matter could be. And next week, how about we just do this? And next week, I'll have the earbuds. I've got a ring light and everything. I won't be tethered next week. So if you're going to take the time to tune in, I should at least respect that with some better technology. But like I said, when you do something that's worthwhile, the adversary is going to challenge you. So if that's the case, we must be on to something, because there's been some things going on here today.
Awesome. Joe,
okay.
Thanks, babe. Thank you, guys.
Thanks
everybody for watching.
In, Robert, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with us. We appreciate it, and get the word out. Hopefully we'll do these. We're going to do these every week. Hopefully we'll have we'll do this for a long period of time. And thanks, Claudia. Dave, thanks, man. Dave Kilgore and I went to high school together many years ago too. So I love it. That's awesome. Right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Take
it.
Take
care. Shawn, I love you, buddy. I'll see you next week. All right.
I love you too. Thanks, you guys. All right. Bye-bye.
Talk to y'all later. I don't know how to shut it off, so it's up to you.